The Event Manager Project Manager series has been running weekly for about 6 months now, and we've been kind of supporting event professionals and other professionals across all industries actually to consider another avenue and see how they can transform their skill set into different industries and roles through project management. So we've been running the sessions for free up until the end of November, and we're gonna take a pause at that point, and we're going to rehash and relook at how we're doing things. But there are some exciting things in the making for those who are now kind of serious about making that transition, want a bit of more practical help in taking those first few steps, and kind of moving into the project management industry successfully. So we've got some cool stuff, I think, coming up in the new year. So we're also going to be, as part of that, if it comes, if it actually comes to be, there'll be a lot of also kind of personal growth and personal development stuff around that. So getting in the right mindset, confidence. So it's not just about getting a new role, but it's building some of those personal skills and kind of confidence. And once you get into a role, what do you do once you're in there? So we're really kind of helping throughout the whole of that journey. So I'm really excited about what that could be. We also have a mentoring platform that is in sort of development at the moment, but we're quite far along. We've got a load of mentors who are already signed up to the platform, and the platform is called My Project Mentor, and the idea is about kind of connecting project management mentors with mentees who are either looking to get into the project management industry or already in the project management industry and want to develop in their careers in some ways. So that's another exciting development that we've got going on. So today we have Ojiugo joining us, talking to us about becoming adept at managing projects and creating new opportunities for yourself, whether that's through study or applying for new job roles or looking for other opportunities. So really excited about that. She has a fascinating background. Talking to her it's been a joy, with a diverse range of personal and business interests, whether it's, from her MBA, as well as her qualifications in project management from the Project Management Institute in the USA, Oracle Certified Database Administrator, Lean Six Sigma, Yellow Belt, and many more.
Oh dear.
I hope I'm doing you justice. But you also have a vast portfolio career as a project manager, a business owner of a management consulting firm, coach, author, and a mum of 2 children. So we always start these sessions in the same way, Ojiugo, and I have a few quick fire questions for you, and you just need to answer with the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
What was your favorite age?
28. And that is how many years ago? I'm 44 now.
So you do not look it. I mean, you still look 28.
I can't believe that. I still have lines and gray hair. Okay, so my favorite age was 28 because at that age, I had finished my MBA, and I was in the job market. I was working as a business, like a junior business consultant at that time, and I was able to think more clearly about my career path. I actually took out a lot of time to brainstorm and be like futuristic, like look into the future. In fact, I even had to paint pictures of exactly what I wanted, and truly that has been my roadmap. Some of it has been revised, of course, along the way, and all of that. And I think that was my favorite age so far.
Amazing. And I think that's a really inspiring story for us all. We're in this moment where lots of things are uncertain and we're all having to kind of rethink and rejig our career paths. And to hear that that's something you did, it'll be really, really interesting to hear more about that. What's on your nightstand?
There's this book I'm reading, Personal Branding. In fact, I read like 3 books at a time, don't mind me. I I think I like to make my mind do a lot of gymnastics. So I have this book called like a relationship book, Making It Work, and then I have this personal branding book by my friend Ojiugo Ajunwa. It's a fresh new book and it's really interesting. I wish I had a copy. Let me see if I have that near me. Oh, I'm not sure.
Maybe we can send the link around.
Last read. Who has seen this book?
Amazing.
I had read The Secret and I saw the power in a bookstore and it's so amazing. I think I'm somewhere in the middle. So I read like 3 books at a time.
Brilliant. And give us a snapshot of an everyday small joy for you.
Sorry, a snapshot
of an everyday small joy. So something that gives you something small in your day that is just very average, that gives you joy.
Okay. Usually when I do a debrief, not official debrief with my kids, maybe they come back from school and I ask, so how was school today? And they're like, it was fine. And then I start drilling down to ask them, so today was games day. What game did you play at school? Was there a new kid, because they just started the new term and all of that. Did a new kid join the school? And that way, the conversation becomes longer than just fine, and it always gives me joy to learn more about what's happening in their lives, even in the busyness of everything.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to hand over to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful, Jay. Thanks for the opportunity. Okay, so do I go ahead or I leave it to you?
Yes, please go ahead and share a bit about your experiences or any ideas that you have around.
Okay, I have a long list. I hope our time will allow me. So I'll just try to capture a bit of what we discussed. First of all, I did not even study management, in the first place. I am a scientist, so I have that kind of mind that is so creative. In fact, when I was small, I used to read the detective books like Secret 7, Famous 5, because I was always looking for the solution somewhere, and all of that. So I have such an inquisitive mind and it's led me on. I think my parents contributed to it. If I told my dad I loved a pair of shoes, he would tell me, love that book over there, because if I gave him a list of clothing to buy, he would, tell me, add some books to it, and all of that. And truly that has been like a gift, for me, foundationally. So even though I studied biology in school, I was able to divert, and become like a management consultant, so far in Nigeria. And I took a lot of tech certifications along the way because I needed to fit in. I studied biology, but in Nigeria, we didn't have like research centers for me to explore because like I told you, my mind loves to, keep exploring. So I didn't really find those opportunities. And then tech, around the year 2000, tech was still new and it looked fresh. So I jumped in, I just loved anything tech. In fact, back in 1998, I had my first system. My dad bought me a big CPU with a monitor. Who remembers all of those back in the day? So it was like the best gift he gave me. I learned how to type. I learned how to do so many things. And then I heard about certifications in tech. So I went that route. I did the Oracle University's like the database administrator route, like it's a course that allows you manage databases in IT companies. So I felt, okay, that would position me, and then when I got into it fully, working in Lagos, Nigeria, early 2000s, I now noticed the gap with managing our projects. Most of our projects were late. There was a lot of risks, like red flags everywhere with these projects. The clients were not always so, they were not happy with some of the project outcomes, not all the projects, because a lot of the projects, we didn't really sit back to define them. I think we were just, it's a tech startup, so we were just happy with our tech skills, but, there was a gap with the project management part of it. In fact, sometimes we used to sleep at client sites. They had phones for us. Your toothbrush would be there, so that you don't escape from the office. And usually it was because, we didn't scope out well. So a lot of things kept shifting, and when we had deadlines, we were not meeting them. I remember one horrible one, we were into software, like human resource software for organizations that runs payroll, HR services, and all of that. And at that time, we had a terrible bug on our software that was overpaying the employees, and it was a big problem. And we had to pay their salaries using the system, not the former legacy system they were using, at that time. And guess what? When we overpaid them and called back the payments and all that, the staff became so angry. They actually came to carry placards, in front of our unit, in front of the PMO, and they were like, "We must be paid," and it was terrible. In fact, I remember not sleeping some days till like 5 a.m. of the next day, trying hard. So that gave birth to me thinking, how else could we do these things better? What's the best practices, in doing all of this? And that led me on a different career journey completely. I now discovered project management. And could I say it saved my career? I think that could be a big word to use, but then it really helped me. And guess what? Growing up, I usually had so many journals. I was that kid that could journal, brush your teeth, fold your clothes. So it became natural. I now found the career path. So this became the career path. I was now able to use that innate skill of, being able to journal every time. And I used it on the project, and we were more intentional. We now worked with project plans. We're no longer accidental, project managers trying to make the project work. We now had a plan. We followed our plan. Even if things veered off plan, there were ways we could control all of that. So that gave us a whole lot of leverage. In fact, I even brought into our organization a trainer at that time. He put us through, introduced us to the PMP. It was the first time I heard that. I said, oh, so there is even a method to the whole madness, and all of that. So that was how I, picked up interest in doing this. I worked in different tech startups afterwards, and we did way much better. I think I even got the certification February of 2009. So that's like 11 years ago, many PDUs later, and then, I was like, I should, because in my country, we had loads of, again, failed projects in Nigeria. They could read the budget every year, but most of the projects were failing. So I dedicated the core service we did to being able to impact knowledge, project management knowledge. And guess what? In the past 12 years of running our own consulting firm, I'm sure we've, worked with more than 10,000 people, formally or informally, teaching them how to manage projects, the best ways, customizing it for their industries, for their organizations. And it's been in fact, in Nigeria, they call me the first lady of project management because that was all I lived. I breathed it. And you know, looking back, when some clients come and tell me that, oh, you impacted the way I work in the office, you know, I'm also now more intentional. In fact, they don't know it, but they brighten my day, you know, and all of that with that kind of feedback. The first lady of it, yes, with that kind of feedback. And, you know, for me, that has been really interesting.
I think it's really, powerful
yeah.
that you kind of, you identified a gap in the market, you identified a problem, and then sought to find a way to solve that business problem through your skill set. And I think that that's a really great point, you know, when kind of applying for jobs. I know that I was talking to a recruitment person who said, in your CV, if you can show, instead of, you know, I did this, I did that, I did, you know, listing loads of tasks, instead frame it in, what problem did you go in and solve? Even if initially they didn't recruit you to solve a particular problem, but when you got into the role, you were like, oh, their systems are, you know, their systems are really rubbish, or whatever it is. Write what problem you solved, and then what successes or what achievements you had around solving that problem. I think it was really interesting that you said, yeah.
Okay, so that led us on, you know, to form our own like consulting firm back in January of 2009. I think this January will be 13. Our business will be a teenager. Yippee! Our business will be a teenager, like, so far. And one thing that has helped us is staying agile with what you do, you know, because yes, we started with project management, and then we veered off into other management areas like process improvement, event management. And guess what? We also, you know, have worked with loads of event planners in Nigeria, you know, using like the PMI's methodology and a mix, you know, and all of them are doing so well. You know, all of them are doing so well. We find them, you know, actually having successful events they run, because again, there is a method, you know, that you must follow to make it work. So we veered off doing all of that while running a lean company. You know, we have people that work with us across Nigeria, not just in our location in Abuja. You know, so we have people in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, you know, and sometimes we have Ghanaian clients, Kenyan clients, South African clients, you know, and thank God for the internet. I think the COVID era also helped us, and it's always good to stay agile, stay prepared, be an early adopter. I remember hearing about Teachable and Thinkific like many years ago. I don't know who has heard about them in here. Nadine? You have, okay, Jay has. Sorry, I hope I don't call her name in the wrong way.
Siobhan.
Siobhan. Okay. Yeah, have you heard about Teachable and, you know, all of that? Let me type that in. Okay, sorry, let me just type that in. Teachable, Thinkific. Okay. Yeah, have you heard about them? Okay, so they are actually learning management platforms, you know, learning management platforms. Maybe you could just Google them. It will open a whole world of, you know, ideas for what you could do, you know, with it. So we adopted them, you know, early enough. In fact, by the time we were offering our services, it was a client that saw us online all the way from Pakistan. He was like, don't you offer what you do online? And it looked strange. I think that was like 2012. And we said, no, it's physical. Everything is physical. You have to come in person, you know, to work with us and all of that. And, you know, he set up he planted a seed that day, you know, by saying, I could have paid for an online course. And I was like, all the way from Pakistan, oh my God. And from 2012, 2016, we started taking a look at it. We started looking at curriculum development that could work online, because how you teach online wouldn't be how you would teach in person. So we learned a bit of that, and we were not perfect, and we launched our first online courses 2016 on Teachable. And guess what? It's as if that Boy Scout mantra, Boy Scout says always be prepared or something like that, so we were prepared before we were prepared, we were not really so serious with the online courses. But guess what? In the past 2 years, it's like the main thing, it's taking a new life. It's like the main thing. So for creating opportunities for yourself, always have a listening ear, keep your ear down, read between the lines. Yes, it's news time, 9 p.m., listen to the news, but listen 2 times, don't just listen for listening's sake. Oh, there is lockdown in the UK. Listen again, listen 2 times. So that means you must be innovative. You must be creative. Be an early adopter. Don't go in when the space is all crowded. If you hear it's AI, look at it, Google, learn, go on YouTube. What's an AI tool? What's automation? There are so many things in our world. Yes, I live in Nigeria, but I love technology because it's a great leverage. You don't know how far it could take you, and all of that. Then use data. Use data. Don't walk without data. Data is like a gold mine. We all use social media platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Are you also looking at the data for instance, people in your customer segments? What are they searching for? Google has a free tool. It's called Google Trends. I will type that in as well. Sometimes some trends plateau. It may not be like all the time it's going up. Sometimes things change. COVID came, it nosedives. What else could you do? I saw a lot of case studies of restaurant owners in the US, that during the COVID time, instead of crying, closing down, they decided to get people to dispatch the food, let it get to the doorstep of the end user, and sorry, I use end user as if I'm in an IT, sorry, the consumer, the last point of call, and by doing that, they created an entire new business. And sometimes they were not even meeting some of their orders, because the orders, using the internet, the orders were always coming in, they needed to now hire more hands, COVID. They needed to hire more hands to start, helping them dispatch the food, do this and that. So that means businesses must be tech savvy. It's not that time to say, oh, I'm not tech savvy. If you're not, hire a VA or get help, but please jump into technology. It can leverage what you do. It will be like you're running with a troop of 1,000 people when maybe it's a lean organization. Okay, so everything is figure outable. I think there is a book by, what's her name? Her name has skipped. Jay, I'm sure you know her. Everything is figure outable. So that means if you
Grace, no. No. Oh, we'll have to post it afterwards. But I think you make 2 great points there about, willingness to learn new skills, jumping in, jumping in early. Jumping in early, willingness to learn new skills and kind of move quickly in a direction, keep kind of agile. And I think that that's so applicable here, that even if, you know, for event managers, even if it's not wanting to leave the industry, even if you want to still stay in the industry, there's going to be no bad choice in terms of upskilling and developing yourself in something, whether it's project management or whether it's technology or whether it's AI. This is, even if you want to stay in the events industry, upskilling yourself in that way is only going to kind of elevate you in some way. Yeah, I really kind of connect with that.
So again, I would add, have a lab mindset. Don't think, oh, my business is cast in stone. So be like a scientist, a mad one at that, a mad scientist, test out everything, because you don't really know, you know, what could work. Imagine the Mark Zuckerberg, exactly, Maria Folio. How did I miss her name? That day. Thank you. Okay, so imagine the Mark Zuckerbergs, you know, he had an idea, and guess what? He's still fleshing out that idea. You know, he's like a shark. He's swallowing up everyone else. You know, he didn't rest on his oars and like, oh, I have Facebook. That is everything. That should be all. No, he, you know, he's kept at it. So let's fail more often, have a lab mindset, you know, you can figure out everything. And some of us have, like that book I'm reading, you know, some of us have so much powers that we do not know it. So that would be it for now. I hope I was able to share from my heart.
Thank you so much. I think there were so many key things in there that really, really highlighted for me. And one of them that I just want to mention, and whilst the girls are kind of thinking about any questions they have, but, you know, you said at the beginning that you spent this time looking at the kind of bigger picture of your life. So looking a little bit longer term. It's really interesting because I had a coachee. We've been working together for about 6 months now. Initially, she's in the events industry. Initially, she was just like, I can't imagine myself doing anything else. You know, I can't imagine, you know, doing anything else. I love this industry, you know, and that's it. And she was kind of like dead set on that. And interestingly, as we've kind of gone along and we've looked at her strengths and what she really likes doing, and we've looked at it, you know, in a bigger context, we've looked at the type of life she wants to lead, we've looked future kind of referencing and gone, okay, what type of lifestyle do you want to have? You know, really kind of bigger picture stuff. She's now in the process of completely pivoting, right? Not in, you know, completely pivoting. She's going to go back and back into education. She's really committed into doing like basically a short course on something to reskill herself, but it's completely different. And she's like, whilst I have, you know, I love the industry, it might be that these two things connect in the future, you know, and I might be doing events in this new industry or something like that. She was like, I am so excited about this new avenue. And she's, you know, she's facing fears, she's kind of pushing through things, she's doing things that she would never have thought that she would do. And I just think that when you kind of take yourself out of the kind of narrow mind of right now and the situation right now, and you look at your life in a kind of bigger context, and you go, okay, well, you know, if you were in 20 years time, if we were to meet and you were to look back on your life, like, what would you have wanted to do or say, and how would you have wanted to live? And then think about your strengths, not in the context of only the roles that you've done, but as wider. I think that new opportunities just kind of arise.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, because sometimes we just it's good to look at the daily, but then it's also good to be futuristic, a mix of the two. I always tell people, when setting goals, I think we know this acronym, I'll type that in: set SMART goals. You know, and then apart from the SMART goals, set your BHAG kind of goals, the big, hairy, audacious goals. Guess what? I have a folder for normal goals, and I have a folder that scares me to even take a look at. And both are good, you know, because it inspires you to become all that you're actually supposed to be. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I call them BBB goals, big, bold, beautiful goals. Yeah, and
Wow.
they're like 10,
I like that.
yeah, they're like 10-year goals. And when, you know, there's a few rules around them, but one of the rules is they have to scare the shit out of you, right? They have to scare you. You know, when you look at a goal and you're like, I'm not gonna, that's not possible, and your mind goes to all the reasons why you can't do it. That's when you know you've got the right set of BBB goals, when you're like, yeah, yeah, I love it. Amazing. Any questions from the group? Any questions coming up? I do.
With the platforms that you've recently been using after your conversation with someone further afield, how did you find navigating them? Was it an easy transition?
Sorry, let me get that. Well,
you know, you talked about Teachable, Thinkif, and the learning management platforms. Did you them then into the practices with dealing with your clients that much easier?
Yes, it did. And again, apart from that, we also started, you know, the journey of researching other platforms. There is LearnPress, there are so many, you know, out there, and it really makes it a whole lot easier. Like clients that are afraid to gather together because of the COVID situation, they're like, do you have an online option? And imagine if we kept saying, no, we don't have an online option. That means you're leaving a big stack, you know, on the table and all of that. And it's maybe because I have a tech background, again, I even do everything by myself. I set up every single thing. You know, like Thinkific is so simple that in 13 steps, in fact, they've simplified the platform. You could just, you know, in 2 hours, set up an online course, basically. So the learning curve, I think even for them, you know, they've simplified everything over the years, you know, and they do loads of events as well, you know, so they keep teaching the users, you know, they actually have like good support. So they actually teach you to do all of that. And apart from that, I've also over time learned how to do that with WordPress, you know, on my own, like it's my own house, everything, you know, and all of that, because I see that's the future. Like they've said, online learning is $1 billion industry. Like 2026, it's taking over a whole lot of, you know, in-person learning like we knew it. So a lot of things have changed.
Ojiugo, I've got a question.
Yeah.
You know, you've got several business interests, and you've got kind of your hands in quite a few different pies. What is the benefit of having built that choice in your career and in your life, so that when things happen, like a pandemic, or, you know, when one element kind of fails or doesn't work out, what is the benefit for you of having this sort of like portfolio career?
Okay. It gives me freedom. But of course, before I had the portfolio career, I did one thing, and I did one thing well. You know, so you just have to have one thing, first of all, that you're known for, you know, and do it so well that you don't need any introduction. You know, like I said, I was named the first lady of project management in Nigeria. And then on that platform, I could now veer off, you know, into every other area. And having that flexibility helps because, you know, times change, things change. And then you really want to, you know, keep growing and scaling what you do. You don't want to be stuck in the past, if I could use that word, you know, and all of that. So you want to keep everything fresh, keep it modern, keep it moving. You know, that's the freedom from having like a portfolio of different things. And I don't do it alone. I have a team I work with, actually.
I think, you know, the idea of that, I was introduced to the idea of the portfolio career a few years ago, is actually when my company went through a huge period of change. People were made redundant, you know, who had been working for this company for 10 years. And I sort of realized how uncertain that the job market was. You know, we weren't living in a world where you're going to have a job for 40 years like our parents or our grandparents did. And that to safeguard myself for those moments, because we can't control change, we can't control what happens, but we can only prepare ourselves in this way of having more choice. Because in that moment I felt backed into a corner, because, you know, I had this one job title, I was sort of committed to this company, and then this change happened and I was pinned into a corner. And I think for me, upskilling myself in ways that complement each other. So I didn't go and, you know, train to be an astronaut or whatever it was, you know, that it was all things that were kind of all complementary in some way. But it meant that, you know, when the pandemic hit, that I could move to a different avenue a lot easier. And, you know, whilst it was disappointing that one thing stopped, I didn't feel like I was being backed into a corner in that way that I did before.
Yeah, because sometimes it's like the other month, you know, someone, a 45-year-old man, you know, on LinkedIn, I knew him, you know, many years ago. He writes me and he says, he slides into my DM and he says, I need a job. And I'm like, oh my God, that demographic.
Yeah.
I didn't want to tell him that. I took his CV, but the main thing I want to say is a VUCA world. Jay knows that. The world is so volatile. Things that even business owners are like downsizing. In my country, in Nigeria, we hear that all the time. You know, so that means don't tie yourself to just one role. Everyone has picked up different skills along the line. So there are transferable skills. You know, I always tell people, list all your skills. What could you transfer? You know, what could you transfer to something else, you know, so that you don't stay stuck. Remember, we all have bills and the bills don't wait. So you must be thinking on your feet. So what skill could I transfer? That even made me, I think during this, once the lockdown happened, it was like a movie, you know, like a movie that wasn't ending and all of that in March, ending of March and all of that. So I was like, okay, what extra new product could I even create in this year? Because they had scattered all my well laid out plans, you know, and all of that. And I thought to myself, people now have businesses that must go online, you know, and there is that gap. You know, the gap of, I don't know how to take my business online, you know, and I said, okay, I would create something for virtual assistants, you know, and I researched the virtual assistant market. It's huge in the Philippines, in India, in Africa, you know, and I was like, I think I could still transfer. You see, I'm not stopping. I could still transfer my project management skills to teach people how to work productively, you know, and all of that. And guess what? If I log into my Teachable and see all the students since June, you know, when we launched, in fact, they are like, you've saved my life. You've given me a new turn. You know, I now have clients all over the world, you know, and I even had those skills innate. Someone said, the skills I had were so many, they were hidden. She used the word hidden. Now I can monetize, you know, my skills. I'm earning while working from home, you know, and things like that. So that means just be thinking on your feet, you know that everything is possible. Everything is figure outable, like we said earlier.
I love that mindset of Ojiugo, you know, like it, not, oh my God, what's happened? What am I going to do? How can I make this work? How am I going to make this work? And it's just that tiny, the way you frame things, language is so important. Your brain is now going to problem solving, not despair.
Exactly.
Yeah, great. Okay, we're going to finish up there. Thank you so much, Ojiugo.
Okay.
Just before we go,